Alright, so I want to make a video on this, apparently a third fight with Robbie Lawler and Rory Macdonald is being rumored for the White House. I made a short on this earlier, and I want to look into it some more, so you're going to come with me on this. Now, I absolutely adore both these guys. Rory Macdonald, Canadian, fellow Canadian, and Robbie Lawler is one of my favorite fighters. Period, man. You know, I'm I stopped watching the sport when he won the title, and well, before he won the title, I should say. And you know what I love looking back when GSP retired is that division still to this day shows you that the 170 pounds is the best weight class. It is the middle of the scale, right? So, you know, you got speed, you got power, you got lighter man skill, you got heavy man skill. Shout out Lucas Tracy. But let's read this article then. We'll talk about each of these guys, what they did in their careers, and the what them fighting at the White House would mean. So Rory Macdonald and Robbie Lawler had two of the best fights in UFC welterweight history. And if the UFC is interested, maybe they could have a third. McDonald has been out of the sport for 3 years, but has resumed training and admits he's gotten the itch to compete again. Lawler retired in 2023, but there are reports that he's also considering a return. In a new episode of the Jaxxon podcast, Rory Macdonald was asked if he'd be interested in fighting on the UFC's Big White House card, and he said a third fight with Lawler would walk him in. Would be tempting, yeah, for sure, but the right opponent, I don't know though. I'd be welcome back, yeah, I don't know where I stand with the UFC. If Robbie was up for it, yeah. Which, by the way, I I watch all kinds of stuff in MMA outside of MMA. I watch a lot of Jackson's clips, um, but you know, the thing that I'm thinking about with this White House card, right, is, and I've said it a few times, you need to build this card to enter the next era of the UFC. We had the Brock Lesnar era. We had the GSP Anderson Silva era. We had the Conor Ronda era. We're now in the Ilya Islam Makhachev era. You need to establish who your star is going to be moving into the Paramount deal. So let's continue with the article. I just poured myself out there for my dream, and I never was really focused on money. My whole dream as a kid was climbing the ranks and fighting for the title, winning the title. So when I got there and it didn't work out, which is fine, but to do all that and never negotiate hard for money, always just like, you want me to fight that guy? I'll fight that guy for this much. Just get me where I need to be, you know? But once I got there, I saw, like, okay, I'm not going to be compensated for this. I was never really a business guy or anything like that. But it felt this was just taking advantage, you know? So I'll be a man of my word. I'll fight out my contract. And then I'll just see where else I could go. And that's what I did. And then Bellator stepped up and offered me a really good contract. So I went with Bellator. McDonald also delivered into how he pushed through the second Robbie Lawler fight, where his face was smashed into a bloody mess. I don't know if I can share the pictures of this fight. Go watch the second fight. For the love of God, if you watch any UFC fight in your life, watch Robbie Lawler versus Rory Macdonald too. Um, but I had like a poker face, but I was suffering. There's body language in your poker face, so if you show weakness or that you're hurt, a guy like Robbie is a shark in the water. He's just gonna go for the kill. And I felt like I still had energy. Like I needed to just not be a pussy and keep fighting. McDonald is 0-2 against Lawler. We'll have, oh yeah, just okay. He is 0-2, but he wants the third fight. Now, the reason that, yeah, I'm going to start off with Robbie. The reason why I love Robbie so much, and I still do, I think, didn't he go over to VKFC briefly? He was talking about it. Did he not do it? Oh, I guess he didn't. I thought he went over there. Weird. But he debuted way back in 2001, and the guy off the gate was a fucking menace. First on knockout, 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 unanimous decision, second on knockout, first on knockout. Loses his first fight due to injury, beats Chris Weidel. Then you saw the clip on the Joe Rogan podcast where Joe Rogan talked about Nick Diaz entering the cage, pointing at Robbie Lawler and saying, "Stockton, motherfucker, Stockton." But dude, well, you guys know how much I love Nick. I've had so many videos on Nick. I know that he doesn't like media, man, but like, I would love, e- even if it's not an interview, like, I do want to pick his head about a lot of things that he brought up when he was in the company. And then leading up to his suspension, right? Where this guy was one of the greatest fighters of all time. He was on that massive 18 fight streak where he never really lost the fight. The fights he lost, one was the bullshit cut above uh, yeah, above his eyebrow. I think that was the KJ Noon. Yeah, the first KJ Noon's fight. Um, but it was this fight that really skyrocketed Nick Diaz into being the needle mover. Then he loses to Evan Tanner, goes on a 3-fight win streak, loses to Jason Miller, veteran, by arm triangle, and then he leaves, goes to Pride, gets a flying knee, knockout, beats Frank Chicken Icon for that title, beats Real has no contest against Scott Smith, beats Scott Smith for the Elite XC title, and then goes to Strikeforce. Go watch Strikeforce. If you've never watched any fights in Strikeforce, looking back, they had some killer, killer fights in that promotion. Uh, Jake Shields uh, submitted him, and then he kind of went, when one was from here. Lost to Ronald Souza, didn't get the belt, got beat by Tim Kennedy, so Tim Kennedy, then got a knockout over Aiden Amagov, and lost to Lorenz Larkin, decides to come back to the UFC. Oh, indigestion. But comes back, beats Josh Kovalchuk in the first round. Um, Bobby Walker, the Rory fight. And then when he lost to Johnny Hendricks, initially for that was the vacant title. Yeah, it was the vacant title. Um, Johnny Hendricks is related to the Killers. We all know that. But he was never looked at as one of the greatest. He was never in the GOAT conversation. But man, Robbie Lawler and Rory Macdonald embodied everything that this sport is. And it's I'm about to get really deep here. One of the reasons I watch every single card, I spend my entire week and my entire day studying the sport, is like you see these guys throw everything they have at on each other. Literally, throw everything they have. And then once that bell rings, 95% of the time, they're hugging, well, let's go train together. Let's grab a beer. Let's, celebrate putting on this event, putting on this performance for me, you, and the fans. It's really something that, it's beautiful here. Like, you know, I shit on all AFWs, right? You guys know that. I'm gonna continue to do it. Well, I hate him because I'm jealous of him. He signs all the best fighters. Now he leverages that into getting them fights that they don't deserve, but he's still, you know, successful. He's still successful and in a position that I want to be in this game, right? And your time in the fight game, your time in not in the gym. Go to the gym your entire life. Your time in the fight game is the same as your time in any other job. You got to go out. It is hunt and kill for yourself. You got to find what you need. You're going to build your coaches. You're going to build your team around you. But once you step into that cage, it is on you to get out of that cage with a win. And you're not always going to win, right? And that's why I care so much about these guys. Like, it's, again, Ben Askren, right? We went from making fun of Ben Askren, which he's always been in on it, which is why I've always loved Ben. I truly do. It is such a shame, and I will always say this when I bring his name up. I wish we got him into the UFC sooner. I wish we got Prime Ben Askren. I really do. When it's 15 to 25 minutes. And then after that, both of those fighters are like, alright, let's do this again. I'm gonna go get this guy. I'm gonna go get this guy. We're gonna get back in this cage and we're gonna do it again. We're gonna make our money, right? And that's what this sport has taught me. It really has, and one of my biggest issues is that I have too big of a heart. I really do. I care for everyone way too much, and it's got me in trouble. Relationships, friendships, family, whatever it is. Um, but it's again. I see more than people fighting in a cage. I see the business. I see the history. I see how these are the modern day gladiators. We are the modern day gladiators, right? Us who watch the sport and are dedicated to the sport, we watch the sport, we go train. We scrape, eat, train. Sweep, eat, train. That's all we do. And you know, I guess my religion is a bunch of people beating each other up inside of a cage. And I will proudly be in this community until the day I die. But again, man, as it relates to having this fight on the White House card, I see it. I like Rhonda is talking about coming back, but not on the White House. Fucking idiot. But you know, it's definitely a special sport we have here. But let me know. Do you want to see this fight at the White House card? Do you think it will be the same as the first two fights? Let me know what you think down below. Thanks for watching. God bless you all. Later.